children. Today we are going to see in Civics chapter 2 Understanding Secularism. In the previous chapter we studied about Indian Constitution, right? In this chapter we saw about what is Constitution, then why does a country need a constitution, right? Then what did we see? We saw about the key features of the Indian Constitution, right? Then at last we saw about the fundamental rights of the Constitution, right? So we saw about the key features, right? What are the key features of the Indian Constitution? Let me recollect. Federalism, then parliamentary form of government, separation of powers, fundamental rights, then secularism. Yes, it is very an important feature of our constitution. So in this class we are going to discuss about Indian secularism and its features in detailed manner. In this video we will discuss about what is secularism, why is important to separate religion from the state, then what is Indian secularism and its objectives. Okay children, before we move on to this chapter, let me tell you some examples why we need secularism. See children, history provides us with many examples of discrimination, exclusion and persecution on the grounds of religion. Children, you may have here read about Hitler, right? Adolf Hitler. Actually, during the Second World, he was the ruler of Germany during the Second World War, 1939 to 1944. During this period, he was the ruler of Germany. He was a dictator. Okay, then what did he do? You know, children, he persecuted lot of Jews people. Means killed. He killed lot of Jews people. See, that is Jews. Actually, you know, you have heard, I think so. Judaism is followed by Jews. In Tamil, யூதர்கள்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. So Jews follow Judaism, isn't it? In today we have the country that is Israel, where Jews are majority, where Muslims and Christians are less in number or minority. Then if you go to Saudi Arabia, we can see at present also, we can see non-Muslims are not allowed to build a temple, church, etc. and nor can they gather in a public place for prayers. So they were not allowed, means non-Muslims are not allowed to build a temple, church, etc. and even they are not allowed to gather for prayers. Okay, so in all of the above examples, members of one religious community either persecute or discriminate against member of other religious communities. Yes, we have seen Hitler persecuted Jews, and also in Saudi Arabia non-Muslims are discriminated on the grounds of religion, right? At the same time, even in Israel also Christians and Muslims are treated quite badly, right? So these are the some examples for discrimination, exclusion and persecution on the grounds of religion. See children, here exclusion means you don't provide some rights, you don't include minority community in any general process. That's called exclusion. See children, this discrimination takes place more easily when one religion is given official recognition by the state at the expense of other religions. Yeah, already I have told you about secularism. What do you mean by secularism, children? Already I have told you. Actually, secularism means a system under which the state does not officially promote any religion as the state religion. Got it? You remember that? Actually, no one would wish to be discriminated against because of their religion nor dominated by another religion. So, children, where there is no official religion, there all religions are treated equally. Yes, of course. Otherwise, discrimination will be there, right? So, these such kinds of discrimination, exclusion, or persecution on the grounds of religion is not possible where there is no official religion. See children, in the previous chapter we read about how the Indian Constitution contains fundamental rights that protect us against state power as well as against the tyranny of the majority, isn't it? What do you mean by tyranny, children? This is a cruel rule, right? So, we read about how the fundamental rights protect us against from state power as well as against the tyranny of the majority, right? Okay, now we will see about what is secularism. Children, what is secularism? Secularism is nothing but taking away religion from the states and looking at all the people as citizens of a state. Simply we can say it refers to the separation of religion from the state. Or state here state refers to country, not like any of Indian state. Okay, state generally refers to country, nation. Okay, see, ஒரு country, ஒரு சென்ட்ரல் கவர்மெண்ட்ல இருந்து செப்பரேஷன் ஆஃப் ரிலிஜியனை மதத்தை தனியாக பிரிக்கிறது, அட்மினிஸ்ட்ரேட்டிவ் லெவலில் இருந்து ரிலிஜியனை தனியாக பிரிக்கிறது தான் செக்குலரிசம். திஸ் இஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட், தட் இஸ் டிஃப்ரெண்ட். It refers, secularism refers to the separation of religion from the state. So, simply we can say secularism is nothing but taking away religion from the state and looking at all the people as citizens of a state. Yes. See, if there is religion, what will happen? Discrimination will come. Especially in India, we know very well. So many religions are here, right? So in many secular countries, actually the government won't support any religious body. India is also like that only. Though our government does not promote any religion, it respects the freedom of the citizens to practice and preach any religions of their choice. So, secularism is taking religion out of context and treating everyone as human beings in a place. That is secularism. So, it refers to the separation of religion from the state. What is secularism? Secularism refers to the separation of religion from the state. Isn't it? Yes. Now, let us discuss about the some aspects of the secularism. The first aspect is to function democratically. See, if you need to treat everyone equally, everyone gets the equal right to vote, to choose their leader, like etc. But that is the function of democracy. Unless you separate religion from the state, it cannot happen, right? See children, you will look at someone as some religious member. Could be a Hindu or Christian or Muslim or Sikhs or Parsi or Jains. Whatever it is, you start looking at them as associating religion with them, right? So, it is very, very essential. Religion should be taken out. Then only the real democracy will be functioning. Now we are going to see why is it important to separate religion from the state. Why is it? Why is secularism important to separate religion from the state? See children, already we have discussed above the most important aspect of the secularism is its separation of religion from the state power, right? See, why it is very important? What are the aspects to bring the separation of powers from the state? Because almost, in fact, in the worldwide, all countries of the world will have more than one religion group living in them. Yes, if for example, if you take India also, all kinds of people with religions. For example, Hindus, Muslims, Christians, Jains, Sikhs, Parsis, etc. Right? But among them, somehow only one group will be majority. If we take in India, Hindus are majority. Nearly 80% of the people are Hindus. Another 20% will be either Christians or Muslims, any other religion. So, see, you note this point. In case if the majority of the people comes to power, what will happen? Of course, there will be tyranny. This tyranny of the majority could result in the discrimination, coercion. Coercion means compulsion. They will do to suppress the minorities, or not minorities means they are in number, less number, so that they are called minorities. Okay, but in case if the majority group of people comes to power, definitely there will be a discrimination. They will do to discriminate the minority people in so many ways, whether they will in the employment opportunities wise, or else financial aid. Sometimes if you see, government gives financial that funding to the many other religion institutions. In case if you think if the majority comes, what they will do? Definitely they will cut the funding aid, right? So that such separating religion from the state, right, is very very important, and real democracy will be functioning there. See, any form of domination based on religion is in violation of the rights. Yes, for example, you can't practice your own religion. You have to do like this. This compulsion should not be there. So, therefore, the tyranny of the majority and the tyranny, already I have told you about tyranny. What is the meaning of tyranny? That cruel rule or brutal rule, or we are forced to do, we are compelled to do. That in fact that dictatorship. So the tyranny of the majority and the violation of fundamental rights can result is one reason why it is important to separate the state religion in democratic societies. Yes, for in fact we know the meaning of democracy. For the democracy, main feature is for the people, by the people, and of the people. So irrespective of caste, creed, religion, everyone, whoever attains 18 years, they will get voting rights, right, irrespective of their religion. So here real democracy will be functioning. In case if the majority comes, what will happen? If they say no, if you belong to this community, you won't get voting right. If you come to this religion, you won't get voting right. How it will be? Of course, it will be destruction. The major destruction will happen, right? So that in order to avoid all those things, in order to ensure the functioning of democracy, the separate religion from the state is very important, right? Another reason why is it important to separate religion from the state is because we also need to protect the freedom of individuals to exit from their religion, embrace another religion. Embrace means a soft approach. See, embrace another religion or have the freedom to interpret religious teachings differently. According to their view, they will explain their concept, they will explain their customs. Okay, so we need, in fact, already our fundamental rights, our Indian constitution guarantees right to freedom of religion, isn't it? Already I have told you about. Do you remember, children? So, religious freedom is provided to all citizens, right? Every person has the right to practice then profess and propagate. If they want to propagate, if they want to tell their religious preaching, they can do. So religious freedom is provided to all citizens, isn't it? Yes. So if they want to exit from their religion, they can. Even embrace another religion, towards soft approach to the another religion, they can. Or have the freedom to interpret religious teachings, also can allow. So to understand these points about what I told you, you can understand easily when I explain with one example, right? Let's take the practice of untouchability. You know the meaning of untouchability. In fact, even today, here and there, we have heard about untouchability, right? தீண்டத்தகாதவர்கள்னு சொல்லுவாங்க. It's unfair. Like maximum we won't like this practice, right? In fact, within Hinduism, some people will say this is an Hinduism, we will follow like that. So in such case, if you, even though you are part of that dominant religious group, you might face a lot of resistance from your fellow members, because these members who are control of you imagine, these people won't like, right? In case if this majority community comes to power, what would happen? You imagine? Definitely it is not possible. It won't be possible to eradicate untouchability, right? So that, and also here interpretation means it's individuals freedom to understand their religious practice. நான் என்னுடைய ரிலீஜியனை பற்றி நான் என்ன அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட் பண்ணியிருக்கேனோ அதை பற்றி சொல்கிறதுக்கான ரைட்ஸ், அதை பற்றி நான் எக்ஸ்பிளைன் பண்ணலாம், அதை பற்றி சொல்ல இன்டர்பிரேட், நான் என்னுடைய கல்ச்சர் என்னோடதை பற்றி இன்டர்பிரேட், என்னோட வியூ அக்கார்டிங் டு மை வியூ, வாட் ஐ அண்டர்ஸ்டாண்ட். ஸோ we have that freedom to interpret. Got it? So why is secularism important to separate religion from the state? There are two main reasons why the separation of religion from the state is important. First is to prevent the domination of one religion over another. Then second is to protect the freedom of individuals to exit from their religion or embrace another religion, or have the freedom to interpret religious teachings differently. Got it? Now we will see about Indian secularism. Children, our Indian constitution is unique. In fact, our Indian constitution is the longest constitution in the world, right? And also our Indian constitution says that the Indian state to be secular. Okay, because according to the constitution, only a secular state can realize its objects to ensure the people's harmony, people's peace, right? So our Indian constitution says that the Indian state be secular. Indian state to be secular. See children, already I have told you about what are the key features of the Indian constitution. Secularism is among them. Then in that I have told you about what do you mean by secularism, right? Already I have told you about secularism, in that a secular state is one in which the state does not officially promote any one religion as the state's religion. Yes, because that is key element of the Indian constitution, isn't it? Yes, so that our Indian constitution guarantees right to freedom and right to freedom of religion, right? In fact children, India witnessed massive destruction during the partition of India. During the independence, India got independence in the year 1947. During the partition of India, Pakistan, there was a communal right. So massive destruction happened. Millions of people were affected. So that, and not only that, after also India witnessed here and there some riots. Children, right means Kalavaram. Communal right means Vagupuvada Kalavaram சொல்லுவாங்க. So that only happened. So that our Indian constitution says that the Indian state to be secular. Got it? Now we will see the objectives of the Indian secularism. One religious community does not dominate another. Some members do not dominate other members of the religious community. And third one, the state does not enforce any particular religion nor take away the religious freedom of individuals. Let me explain you one by one. See, one religious community does not dominate another. It means here all are an equal, irrespective of religion. No discrimination should happen. At the same time, if the majority community should not dominate the minority communities, or majority communities are not allowed to ill-treat minority communities. See, according to the freedom of religion, right to freedom of religion, religious freedom is provided to all citizens. So every person has the right to practice. Here, our Indian secularism, to ensure that no one religious community does not dominate another, so that no one can misuse their power, isn't it? Yes. At the same time, some members do not dominate other members of the same religious community. It means it does not allow, people inside the same religion, inside the same community, some people will dominate others. It should be avoided. In order to avoid those kind of domination, Indian secularism is maintained, so that our Indian constitution prohibits some members do not dominate other members of the same religious community. This is the second objectives of the Indian secularism. Then third one, the state does not enforce any particular religion as a state religion. It means no Indian state can be ruled by a religious group. Note it. No Indian state can be ruled by a religious group. It will never support, our Indian constitution will never support a religion as a particular religion as a state religion. So that the state does not enforce any particular religion nor take away the, in fact, it's not our Indian constitution is not allowed any state not take away the religious freedom of individuals. Okay, so everyone has right to practice their own culture, own religion, own customs. It should not be affected by the government. Okay, so that these are the three objectives. What are they? One religious community does not dominate another. Then some members do not dominate other members inside the same religious community. Then the state does not enforce any particular religion as a state religion, or not take away the religious freedom from the individuals. Okay, so that in order to avoid all those violations, the Indian secularism means the Indian constitution guarantees secularism. Got it? Then children, if you take any government institutions like courts, schools, then even parliaments, government schools, there won't be any religious pictures or portraits, because our constitution clearly controls that. In fact, it should be avoided, so that in fact even parliament, if you go to our parliament also, we cannot see any religious pictures or portraits. Okay, this is the one of the strategy of distancing itself from religion, because in the Indian state works in various ways to prevent the above domination. So one of the strategy is not using any religious pictures and portraits in the government officials. Okay, sorry, government institutions. Got it? And also the government schools cannot promote any one religion, isn't it? Yes, in the government schools there won't be celebrated any religious festivals. Okay, because government schools, in case if the government schools celebrate any religious festivals in the school premises, the school would have been a violation of the government's policies of treating all religions equally. So that government schools cannot promote any one religion, either in their morning prayers or through religious celebrations, isn't it? Yes, even we have seen this, right? So maximum the religious festivals, for the religious festivals, government used to give holidays, so at home we can celebrate, isn't it? Yes, எந்த தலையீடும் இல்லாமல் இருக்கிறது, right? So the second way in which Indian secularism works to prevent the above domination is through a strategy of non-interference. Let me explain that. It means that in order to respect the sentiments of all religions and not interfere with religious practices, so the state makes certain exceptions for particular religious communities. For example, government has passed a law, while riding two-wheelers we should wear helmet, right? In that, Sikhs used to wear turban, right? That is what is that? Pagri means turban. You have seen, right? But so that they are not able to wear helmet, right? So that for them exception is there. Here government is followed non-interference. They are allowed to wear turban. They are not forced to wear helmet. Got it? But children, remember this. This rule does not apply to private schools. Which rule? What I told you, no? Government schools cannot promote any one religion, either in their morning prayers or through religious celebrations, right? So that rule won't be applicable in the private schools. Got it? Then the second way in which Indian secularism works to prevent the above domination is through a strategy of non-interference. The third way in which Indian secularism works to prevent the domination listed earlier is through a strategy of intervention. Before that we saw about non-interference, strategy of non-interference. For example, I told you Sikhs are not forced to wear a helmet, right, because they used to wear turban, isn't it? That is also known as pagri. But the third way which Indian secularism works to prevent the domination as a strategy of intervention. Here intervention, how? We will see it. See, for example, if we can take what is that? Untouchability, then infanticide and all. See, the same religion, upper caste Hindus dominate of others, some lower caste within it. Yes, so in order to prevent this religion based exclusion and discrimination, in order to avoid this untouchability, in order to prevent this untouchability and also infanticide, the Indian constitution banned untouchability. In fact it banned infanticide also. So in this especially in untouchability is strongly banned by Indian constitution. If anything happens, if it violates the policies of government, then of course we will be punished, isn't it? So in order to prevent this religion-based exclusion and discrimination of low caste, the Indian Constitution bans untouchability. Got it? In this instance, the state is intervening see here you note this point, before that and all they won't interfere in this religious sentiments, but here even though Hinduism, some people will say untouchability is in Hinduism, it's usually practiced in Hinduism like that. If they say also, the government or constitution won't let it continue because it harms many people. So in this instance, the state is intervening a religion in order to end a social practice that it believes, discriminates and excludes. See children, exclusion, already I have told you the meaning of exclusion. Here I say once again, if you don't provide some rights, you don't include a minority community in any general process, that's called exclusion. In fact, for example, I can tell you, for government hospitals, institutions and all, oh, you are coming from this religion, so you can't come. You are this religion, so you don't get this right. If you say, how it would be? Of course, it will affect the people, right? So that it should not happen. In order to prevent all those discriminations and exclusion, government intervene the religious practices. Okay, so to bring it an end. Got it? Then similarly, to ensure that laws relating to equal inheritance rights to respected, the state may have intervened in the religion-based personal laws communities. For example, inheritance. See children, inheritance means in Tamil வாரிசு உரிமை. அப்பாட்ட இருந்து அப்படியே அவங்க சன், அவங்க ஃபேமிலி, அந்த ஜென்ரேஷன் அப்படி they will get their property and all. Okay, so to ensure equal inheritance rights, so everyone has a right to buy anything. If I want to buy a land, okay, I can buy. If someone from some other religions or community wants to buy land, they can buy, no problem at all, right? It will allow equal inheritance overall. Got it? This is the very important feature of the Indian secularism. As well, next we will see about the intervention by support. See, government constitution frames clearly how to follow the secularism in the state. At the same time, in what are the circumstances government can or state can interfere, or at what situations government can intervene the religious practices. Let us see. See, constitution grants the right to set up religious based schools and colleges and provide financial aids. You note it. See, all the institutions, we can see there are places where schools run by specific religions are there. For example, so many Christian institutions and even madrasas, right? Even Hindu gurukulas, everything is there. But for everyone is treated by the government equally only, because government provides fund to the institutions. In this way, government intervene and government gives their support to all the communities, institutions, right? So it is so that this policy, this is the support, intervention by support. This is called intervention by support. So children, in what different ways does the Indian state work to prevent religious domination? We have discussed, right? The first one, it uses a strategy of distancing itself from religion. Yes. Then the second way in which Indian secularism works to prevent the domination of religion is through a strategy of non-interference. Then the strategy of intervention, right? Then the intervention by support, isn't it? So that in these ways the government works to prevent religious domination. Got it? Children, now we will see the case study. Okay? In what way is Indian secularism different from that of other democratic countries such as United States of America? See children, in America there is a strict separation between religion and the state. Whereas in India, our government can intervene when needs comes. Okay? Children, in USA, constitution prohibits the legislature from making laws respecting an establishment of religion or that prohibit the free exercise of religion. It means, see children, prohibits means tadai pandrathu, ban. Okay. See prohibits the free exercise of religion. அதாவது ரிலிஜியனை அஃபெக்ட் பண்ணுற மாதிரி எந்த லாவும் பாஸ் பண்ணக்கூடாதுங்கிற ஒரு ஸ்ட்ரிக்டான ரூல் எதில் இருக்குது அப்படின்னா யூஎஸ் கான்ஸ்டிடியூஷன். வேறஸ் இன் இந்தியா the government will intervene. For example, even untouchability, again and again we can use the term because for example we can tell this because it is banned by government, but though it is religious practice, our government involved and it banned this untouchability. See children, any religion can be practiced in US. Actually that is the best part, right? In India also same, there is no difference. Any religion can be practiced in India also, we can see it, but separation between the state and religion, neither state nor religion interfere the affairs of one another. Already I have told you, state won't interfere religious matter. Of course, religion won't interfere the state's matter. Here, establishment means the legislature cannot declare any religions as the official religion. In US also, they won't declare any religion as the official religion. All religions are equal. See children, in India also the same. If I ask you one question, what is the official religion of India? Can you answer? Absolutely no, right? Because all the religions are equal. All the communities, all the people who belong to different communities are equal in front of law. Got it? So here the major difference between US secularism and India is in US separation between the state and religion is strict, but in India wherever the needs comes, definitely our government will interfere. Okay, but on the basis of principled distance, on the basis of ideals which are given in the constitution, our government will involve. Understand? So children, our Indian secularism state is strictly not separate from religion. Partially separate from religion, but actually separate from religion, but for some circumstances it will interfere the religious practices when it needs. Whereas in US it can't be done. You know children, in US the first amendment of the US Constitution prohibits the legislature from making laws. So they strictly separate religion from state. Got it? So we will come to conclusion. Actually the Indian Constitution guarantees fundamental rights that are based on these secular principles, isn't it? Then our Indian secularism state is strictly not separate from religion, right? But it maintains principal distance vis-a-vis with a religion. Okay, but it maintains distance from all religion. So Indian state is secular and works in various ways to prevent religious domination. Okay. See children, one more example I'll tell you. Actually, in February 2004, France is in where it is located. France is in European continent, right? So France passed a law banning students from wearing conspicuous religious and or political signs or symbols such as the Islamic headscarf, the Jewish skull cap, or large Christian crosses. So this law has encountered a lot of resistance from immigrants who are mainly from the former French colonies of Algeria, Tunisia and Morocco. See, nothing but simply we can say the migrants who came from Algeria, Tunisia and Morocco. These people used to follow their religious customs, like if they are a Muslim, they will wear headscarf. Then Jewish people wear skull cap. Like even in fact Christian wear Christian crosses. But what happened? The France government banned this to wear all those religious symbols. So in fact people protested against its vain. So with the passing of this new law, they have been these immigrants have been expelled from their school for wearing headscarves. Children, let me ask you few questions based on this content. Okay, be ready? The first question: what examples does history provide us on the grounds of religion? History provides us with several examples of discrimination, exclusion and persecution on the grounds of religion. Right? Then, what happened in the Jewish state of Israel, children? Muslim and Christian minorities were treated badly in the Jewish state of Israel. Isn't it? Yes. Okay. How are non-Muslims treated in Saudi Arabia? In Saudi Arabia, non-Muslims are not allowed to build a temple, church, etc. Right? Even they are not allowed to gather in a public place for prayers. Isn't it? Yes. Then what is the term secularism refer to, children? Already we have studied about secularism, right? But the term secularism referred to what? The separation of the power of religion from the power of the state. See children, if we ask question, what do you mean by secularism, or what is secularism, you can write both. See children, already we have studied about secularism. Yes, in the first chapter we asked what do you mean by secularism, right? In that you used to write, a secular state does not officially promote any one religion as the state religion. Yes, in this second chapter, what does the term secularism refer to? See, this is the difference. What does the term secularism refer to? The term secularism refers to the separation of the power of religion from the power of the state. Got it? Okay children, I hope you all understood this chapter clearly. I will send the classwork through PDF. You should copy it in your classwork notebook. Then you should read the lesson at home. Okay. Thank you.